Okay, Year 11, so this tutorial is covering the AQA B2 topic of respiration. If we start with the two types of respiration, we have aerobic respiration. And if we have a look, we can see that aerobic respiration is all to do with oxygen, so it requires oxygen. Now, aerobic respiration happens in every single cell in the body. Glucose that comes from eating food reacts with oxygen from the air. When they react together, produces a waste product, which is carbon dioxide, another waste product, which is water, and what is the most important thing? Energy. Now, if in a particular situation, such as sprinting or strenuous activity, we can't get enough oxygen to our muscles so they can perform aerobic respiration, our body still needs to obtain energy, so therefore it performs a different type of respiration called anaerobic respiration. Now, anaerobic respiration is without oxygen. Now, if you look at this equation, it's different. So you can see glucose, no oxygen, is used to create energy. It's not as efficient. Okay, the glucose isn't fully broken down, and because it's not fully broken down, because it's not fully oxidized, because there's no oxygen, we get lactic acid. Okay, and lactic acid is eventually going to lead to muscle fatigue. Okay, as it denatures enzymes involved in the reaction. Okay, and both of those reactions require enzymes. Okay, so pause the video. What I want you to try and do is see if you can scribble down the equations for both aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Okay, so whereabouts does respiration take place? Well, we said respiration takes place in every single cell of the body. Okay, respiration is the process that generates energy. It is not breathing. Okay, but aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration take place in slightly different parts of the cells. So if we look at a typical animal cell again, and we have a look at the organelles, we can see that the mitochondria, so the tiny little red dots in the animal cell here, these little dots here, okay, that's where aerobic respiration takes place. Now, if we look at a typical animal cell, so the sperm cell, we can see that here, on the sperm cell, this mid piece is packed with mitochondria. That's because mitochondria generate energy through respiration, and that energy is used to move the tail or the flagellum towards the egg. Now, anaerobic respiration takes place in the cytoplasm, and that's the jelly-like substance. So, what is this energy used for? Why do we need to generate energy? There's a lot of clues in the pictures. We, and also plants, because remember plants respire as well, need to create energy for growth. Okay? Now, to grow, we need to be able to create large molecules from small molecules. For example, we might use the energy to join the amino acids to create proteins. We also use the energy for muscle contraction. Okay, and for those of you studying separate science, you might have also heard of active transport. So moving molecules against a concentration gradient, so from a low concentration to a high concentration. Okay, so you need to be able to remember that. Okay, so pause the video now. 2 slides ago I told you whereabouts aerobic and anaerobic respiration takes place. Can you remember? Can you also remember some reasons that we might require energy from respiration? So during exercise, the muscles need to respire more than when they're at rest. And this is because they need more energy in order to contract. So if we're respiring more because we need more energy, then we need a way of getting oxygen and glucose to be delivered to our cells quickly. So as the blood moves through, we're dropping off that oxygen to the cells. Equally, we need to be getting rid of any waste carbon dioxide, okay, because that is a toxin, so it must be removed quickly. Now, to achieve the higher respiration rate, we need to increase our depth of breathing so we can get more oxygen into our lungs. We need to increase the rate of breathing, again, so that we can get more oxygen in and we can expel some of that carbon dioxide. And we need to increase our heart rate so we can deliver some of that oxygen to our cells, but also so that we can take any waste carbon dioxide back to the lungs so we can breathe it out. Now, what you might hear of is something called an oxygen debt. Now, basically, when we have to carry out strenuous activity, often oxygen doesn't get to our cells quick enough. In this case, we have to carry out anaerobic respiration. Now, anaerobic respiration produces lactic acid. Now, lactic acid is a waste, okay, so therefore it needs to be broken down by the body. Now, in order to break down this extra lactic acid, we need more oxygen. We need to repay the oxygen back. Okay, now when lactic acid reacts with oxygen, it creates carbon dioxide and water, which we can get rid of when we breathe it out. Okay, so we can see when we are exercising, you can see that basically we've got this difference between the ideal and real oxygen uptake. So therefore, after we stop exercising, we need to continue to breathe fast and deep to make sure that we've supplied the additional oxygen that we didn't have during exercise. And remember, that oxygen is used to break down the lactic acid. And remember, the lactic acid is what causes our muscles to fatigue. It's what causes muscle. Now, the final little fact that you need to know is when we take in food and we take in glucose, which remember is the fuel for both aerobic and anaerobic respiration, we don't use all of that glucose. Some of it is converted into glycogen as a storage molecule, okay, because it's insoluble and therefore it can be stored in both our muscles and the liver. Now, during exercise, when we need additional glucose, the glycogen can be broken down into glucose and we can use that glucose in respiration to generate energy. Okay, remember, energy can be used to maintain our body temperature, it can be used for muscle contraction, it can be used for building larger molecules such as proteins, etc. Okay, so what I want you to have a go at now, if you can, is see if you can write down anything that you know about aerobic respiration, anything that you think you know about anaerobic respiration, and anything you can write down about both. So if you pause the video and see if you can do that. Okay, let's see what you've got. So you should have got the idea that the aerobic respiration takes place in the mitochondria. You might have said that it was efficient. You might have also said that it requires oxygen. You could have also said that it produces lots of energy. You could have said that there is no oxygen debt. You could have also potentially said it produces carbon dioxide and water. Okay, if we think about what's common to both of them, we could have said that they use glucose as a fuel. Okay, then let's look at anaerobic respiration. So we have no oxygen, we have lactic acid produced, we can also say that it is not efficient, and this is because not all of the glucose is oxidized. And we could talk about some energy produced. So we tend to use it for when short bursts of energy are required. Okay, so that's just some of the differences. Okay, I hope you found the tutorial useful. Remember, you can play it back through, you can stop, rewind, or fast forward, and if you do have any questions, you can see me in class.